Today, show you all how to make these solo trees. They're super simple, look pretty good. All they are, just some washers, a little bit of flocking, sand, glue, hot glue, and these trees you can get on Amazon for pretty cheap. So let's get to it. Alright, so here we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these washers, set them down. I got some parchment paper down because not a lot sticks to parchment paper. So when the hot glue is on it, it's really not going to be that difficult to take off. Where if you use like aluminum foil, it has a tendency to stick, so you'll be trying to carve that off. Alright, so got my washer here. Just going to take some hot glue. I'm just going to put some right in the center. Now some of these trees that I got on Amazon, they have rounded edges. You can see that? So I tend to kind of take my cutter, cut that little rounded area off. That way it helps sit a little bit better. Now you're going to want to hold this until it's basically good to stand on its own. With hot glue, luckily it doesn't take too terribly long before you can let it go. You can blow on it, or if you got like a little fan it, whatever. Alright, so there we go. We got one here. And with these, I mean, you can do however many you want to make. So what I'm using is these 1/4 inch by 1 inch fender washers. You can get them at any hardware store, usually pretty cheap. For this box at 50. I think I paid like $3-4 for it. It's not too bad. What they do is they help, one, they give you a base, but two, they give it some added weight. So I mean, yeah, if you knock them over, they're going to knock over, but for the most part it's going to help it out, help it stay standing upright. So we'll do another one here. When you're doing this, you can make, however many you want, whatever types of trees you got. And I'm just going to take this, kind of cut off this rounded edge. Doesn't have to be perfect, because one, you're going to be holding it, and two, the hot glue will help it stand on its own. And these can be used for anything. I mean, you can use these for, as you guys know, I'm a big Battletech fan. So I can use them for Battletech, I can use them for Alpha Strike. Yes, it's still Battletech, but they are different. Play Warhammer. You play Bolt Action. Role-playing games. Play D&D, Pathfinder, whatever. Something you use as minis, you can use those too. I'll whip up, we'll do a couple more here. Already got a bunch of these, so. Oops, I should move that a little bit over, but that's okay. So we're going to cut this one off. A lot of times when you're doing stuff with hot glue, you want to hurry with it. The reason why I'm not really hurrying right now is because I want it to kind of start cooling. so that when I get it in there, it's not going to take me as long to have to wait for them to be ready to go. Alright, so now we shall move on to the next portion. Alright, so now we to work on the base. So right now, obviously you just have the washer there. Grab some hot glue. You're basically just going to cover up the metal of the washer. You can go around the edge as well. You'll probably get some wisps if you move them around. Now you don't have to do like around the edging, because we can always paint that. I like to do it just because when I put the glue down, it's going to help. Now you do have to be careful, because you see that my tree is falling over. The reason why is the hot glue that I just put on is going to kind of try to melt the other glue because of it heating up the washer. So just keep an eye on that. You might see it start to kind of teeter over. If it does, just get it realigned. It'll solidify again. So that one looks like it's going pretty good. And then we're just going to do the same thing on this one. Now there's a couple ways you can do it. You can, so like what I'm doing here on this one, just holding it by the tree, putting some out, using the nozzle tip to just move the glue around. So if you put a big glob down, don't worry about it, you can spread it out. And it'll actually kind of texture it, which isn't anything terrible. And then if you're careful enough, you can actually just hold it. Just go along the edge, put a tiny little bead. I think using a smaller glue gun may be easier for this, but hey, use what you got. That's the whole point of this. I'll just let that cool down, check for any little missed spots, move some glue around. Don't worry about the wisps, you can clean those off. So yeah, now I'm going to finish these ones up. Alright, now the glue is completely hardened. If you want, you can go, this time you can go around, pull off any little wisps you see. Yeah, you can even use the hot glue gun to just kind of run it over the edges. It's kind of coming out a little weird. Don't need to add more glue, just use the nozzle of it and it'll basically melt it back out. So now we just pop them off the parchment paper. And you can take a look, see if you missed any spots. Like this one I missed. This one I ended up missing just this little corner. So I just toss a little glue back down. Use the nozzle to get rid of the wisp. Okay. Move that little piece there. A little wisp here. Wisps are probably a little hard to see on the camera. Alright, so now we're going to move on to coloring the bases. So basically what I'm going to do is use Mod Podge mixed with black paint, just regular craft paint. Learned that from Black Magic Craft. He's an amazing crafter for tabletop RPGs and whatnot. So yeah, again, go check him out. Yeah, got this idea from him. Works great. I use it on all of my foam projects. So all I'm gonna do is just paint the base. It may look a little transparent, but that's okay. We're still going to cover it up. And at this point, you're going to probably see some wisps. Man, I don't know why it's so difficult to say. You'll see some little wisps you missed. It's okay. Just go ahead and hit them. You'll know where they're going to be once this stuff dries. Then you can either cut them off or just pull them off. Either way. So yeah, just going around, painting the base, painting the edges, so that way if there is any little silver showing, it'll get covered up. Oop, there's a big wisp I missed. Alright, so I'm going to finish these up, and I'll come back for the next step. Alright, so we're back. The Mod Podge and black paint has dried. So now we're going to add some flocking. So a lot of times I will use this Woodland Scenic blended turf. This one's the green blend. I have some more coming. It's more of a brownish, looks more like dead grass. But we're also going to use, pull the lid off here, some rocks, sand. So you can flock these any way that you want. If you want them to be for a specific type of terrain. So, like some of them I will do with the green, some I'll do with the sand and the rock, and you can mix it. That's what's nice. So all I'm gonna do, you can use any type of glue. I'm just using tacky glue. The nozzle for it is all blocked up, so I tend to just set it on its side, let it drip. And it's super simple. Just take an old paintbrush. This one, I mean, I've used it. You can see. Yeah, just basically paint it on. You just want to cover it all. I'll show you how you can do a nice mix of this stuff, of the different types of flocking. So if you want to get it right up against that tree, get a little on the tree, don't worry about it. When this stuff dries, it always dries clear. Or at least I've always had it dry clear. Just get that edging. So luckily this stuff, you do have a little bit of time before it really starts to harden up. So what I'll do is I'll paint on the glue for about 2 of these. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah. So you got the little wisp right there. Boom, gone. Get rid of that. Can be a little, I mean, it's pretty thick stuff, so it can sometimes be a little bit of a pain to move it around. Sometimes it'll glop up. You just gotta kind of keep shifting it. Let's see if we can get a third one in here. But yeah, it doesn't take too much effort really to do this. I'm just trying to get everywhere. If I don't get everywhere, I'm not worried about it. It's that black paint. It's mixed in with the Mod Podge will kind of hide anything. Alright, so I'll do these three first. Let's throw some rocks on there. So I'm just going to kind of, oops, sift out some bigger rocks. What I'm going to do is just drop them in there. You can give them a little press down. They get on the sides, you can just move them back. Obviously you don't want them there because they can throw off how they sit. So do that. And you don't have to put a bunch of them on either. You can just drop a couple here and there. If you want, you can use some of the smaller stuff instead of the bigger ones. So obviously rocks come in all shapes and sizes. Who knew, right? So now what I'll do is take my blended turf here. So I just use little, and this is a little dollar store measuring spoon. I just use the 1/4 teaspoon because I'm not going to need a ton of it. Just get some on there. You're just going to cover it up. Try to cover all the glue you can. Again, if you don't cover it all, that's fine. I'm just going to let it sit. Now what you can do, which I do depending on the terrain I'm working on, like when I did some hills, what I would do is I'd put a bunch of it on and then just lightly press everything down into the glue. That just helps it set better. It's not something you really have to do, but it works. Move that rock up a little bit. Alright. I'm just going to grab another spoonful here. What's nice is with this mess here is you can roll the edges in it while you're spreading the flocking on the top. What I'll do is I'll take the back of the spoon too, just lightly tap it. This will help press it in. And just take my finger, go press, oops. So sometimes when you do it, you'll get it where it does that, right there. And just scoop up some of the grass again, put it back in, use the back of the spoon, pat it down. And set it off to the side. If you don't want to keep digging out of the container, scoop it back up off the parchment paper. I mean, eventually all the excess is just going to get dumped right back in. And if you're wondering, what about the rocks? I don't worry about that, because it'll just add to the turf. So sometimes I may get a bunch more rocks, and if you really need, you can shake it up, and a lot of times the rocks will sink to the bottom. Excuse me. So what you can do too, some people might do this, and if you want, hey, great. Once you get the rocks on, they'll prime, like from basically just under the canopy of the tree down to the base. They'll prime it black, and then paint it up with a different color. Do you have to do that? No. Like, it does look a little weird because I don't know if it shows it on the camera here, but the trees are a little shiny. And you can always just put like a wash on it, just like a little bit of water, black paint, or brown paint, whatever you want to use. And before you do this step, you can just put a wash on it. That'll help take out that that shine. Do a nice little pat down here. I'll just sprinkle some more on, push it down. Set that off to the side. I'll finish these ones up. Oops. So right there, I got a little bit on the tree. That's okay. Like I said, once the tacky glue dries, it'll dry clear, so it's not going to be white. And with that on there, what you can also do is still put some flocking on. And it'll just look like some moss or something is growing up the side. Take a little bit of sand and put that on there. Oops. Grab some of the flock. Slowly rotate it, lightly pressing. Check the sides, just kind of pat it in the pile here. So what I'll do is I'll just lightly flick the bottom. See? Try to see if we can get a better shot of it there. So just as a little bit of work, you can get some pretty decent looking trees. Like I said, they'll work for numerous different games and whatnot. Get those edges. It's like there's a spot I missed when I was doing the paint and the glue, so I'll just kind of tap that up a little bit. And this stuff washes off too, so if you're worried about the brush getting ruined, warm water, a little soap, give a good swish in there, flick it around, it'll come off. This brush alone, I think I've had for about 15 years, and it's still in good condition. Right, yep, we're not going to put rocks on this one. This one will just be grass. Just why not? So if you can't afford flocking, which, don't get me wrong, it's not very often I buy some. I know prices have gone up for everything. You can try to make some, which I've seen other people do. You know, DM Scotty is one. Wylock's made some. I believe Black Magic Craft has. But you can use a lot of different things. You can use, I know some people use like tea leaves. Some use like pencil shavings from like a pencil sharpener. Mix in some green paint. Spread it out, like take like a cookie sheet, spread it out, pat it down, and you'll just end up grinding it up. So yeah, and there's different ways to do it. I just happened to bought this for basing minis, and yeah, that's what I use, so it works. Give it a light little tap, and there's so they're pretty easy to do. Now there is only one more step to do after this. Basically what we want to do is we want to seal these because the flocking will over time come off. So with that, you just take, use that for another project. I know you saw it before, it's a clear coat matte finish. Use that, give it a light little spray on the bottom, and you can do the top too because this stuff will kind of fall off as well. And you can basically just hold it right in the middle, hit it up, spray the bottom. So there you go. And they're super simple, super easy. I'll put a link down in the description for the trees that I'm using. So that way if you want to go to I'm not an Amazon affiliate or anything like that. But it'll at least show you where I got mine. So that's all I got for now. Have fun. Hope your crafts come out great. And let me know down below what other type of videos you want to see me do. I do have another one I'm going to do using these trees, not necessarily these ones, but some of the other trees I have and some foam core that you can get at the dollar store. And I'm going to make some templates with trees on them. So that way you can have those. I use XPS foam for mine, but I'll show you how to do them with the foam core, which is again a lot cheaper. Hopefully that'll be out next week. All depends on work schedule. So till then, have fun, happy crafting, and I'll talk to you later.